Look, the polls are saying that I won that by 80-20. We have won here 92-7. And I sort of believe that's right. I think it was one of my better debates, maybe my best debate, I think. I don't know. That's why I'm disappointed in this guy, Harold Ford. I don't know if he's still there, but I don't know what he was.
Maybe my best debate. Oh, Lord, bro. Think about that, guys. Just follow this train of thought. Think about if yesterday, with him freaking out and yelling, screaming, they're eating the dogs, and losing his cool, and not looking at the camera, not looking at his opponent, just completely fixating on things like crowd size and Viktor Orban and shit. If that was his best debate, like, think about that. Think about that level of performance. If yesterday was his best, if that was his best effort, then we definitely know he shouldn't be president, right? But the other thing I noticed about the debate is Trump was like woefully unprepared. He didn't even come having finely tuned, rehearsed answers. I at least expected him to have a rehearsed speech about the border that he would always end up at, where every question he brings it back to the border. He did not do that. He, in fact, stopped even talking about the border and inflation, and instead went off on the tangent about the animals and the crowd size. He was bristling. He never looked up. He lost his physical composure. Even his mannerisms were gone. It was just a complete and utter failure where he was just a thin-skinned guy at the mercy of that woman. And yes, his lack of prep tells you a lot about him. It tells you that he doesn't respect the importance of this moment, because he himself has said that this world is dangerous, right? Let's just follow his line of thinking here. Trump says we're on the brink of nuclear war, World War III. He says America is failing, is becoming a third world nation. The world is dangerous and on edge, and he's the only guy who can save it. And it's so important to him that he protect us from all this shit. However, the same guy who wants you to believe that the world is so dangerous and this is such a critical moment and it's so important to have the right leader who can fix all this, that same guy couldn't even show up to a presidential debate well prepared. So if really the world's on the brink of disaster and he's the guy to save it, why did he show up at this event completely unprepared and as though he doesn't even take this thing seriously at all? He showed up as though there was nothing on the line. So yeah, that's a problem, because if you look at it, his behavior and what's coming out of his mouth are miles apart. He didn't look like he had a sense of urgency. He didn't look like it was really important for him to show the whole world that he is in fact the most capable and the most ready to do this job. Like, dude, you couldn't even show up to a debate prepared. Like, I don't want you showing up to the table and potentially representing me in the World War III. If we're on the cusp of World War III, I want a leader who's gonna show up ready to fight, not somebody who's just gonna show up and be like, yeah, let's just get out here and see what happens. It's an important point, guys. It's an important fucking point that we need to pay attention to. We need to pay attention to the nuances of this guy.
What is your review of your performance?
Well, I looked at the poll numbers. I listened to Harold Ford. I don't know what he was watching because I think he wasn't watching the debate that I was in yesterday. I think we did great. It was 3-1. It was a rigged deal, as I assumed it would be, because when you looked at the
3-1, a rigged deal, that's always his go-to.
The fact that they were correcting everything and not correcting with her. And we knew it when it was 100% good coverage for her over the last month or last year. I looked at it and only bad coverage of me, no matter what. The press is so dishonest in this country, it's amazing. Now, I didn't mind because, frankly, I was pretty sure that's what they would do. CNN was much more honorable. The debate we had with Biden was a much more honorably run debate, but this was...
By the way, he didn't look good in the CNN debate either. He looked incapable as well. The CNN debate was simply because Biden looked so terrible and lost. Trump looked like, you know, he was at least going to make it to the end of the debate. That was it. But the lack of fact checking, like, we should have fact checking for these outlandish and wild claims.
It's incredible. I mean,
You know what I mean?
everything, so many things I said were debunked, totally debunked, like Charlottesville,
Okay, again, the Charlottesville thing has not been debunked. If we look at his comments on Charlottesville, I know there's this Snopes piece that said Charlottesville was debunked, but let's just look at the Trump Charlottesville and see what he says.
But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group, excuse me, I saw the same pictures as you did. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue and the renaming of a park from Robert E. Lee to another name. And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many...
He says because they should be condemned, but he doesn't condemn them himself. You see that? You see what I'm saying? He says, oh, they should be condemned, but I'm not going to condemn them. But let's just watch this. Let's follow this up.
And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? And you...
Now, again, though, here's the deal. This does not absolve him of what he said, because he said there were very fine people on both sides. But here's the problem. In addition to the neo-Nazis and the white supremacists, there were some other fine people, Trump says, on their side. But here's the deal, man. If you have a group of very fine people that are on the same side as the neo-Nazis and the Proud Boys and the white supremacists, they are not very fine people. Period. If you share a side with the neo-Nazis, I don't care why you're sharing the side. I don't care what your motivation is. If you are sharing a side with the neo-Nazis and the white supremacists, you are not very fine people. Period. End of fucking story. That's the reality. So when Donald Trump says there were very fine people on both sides, he is, in fact, saying that it's okay for the neo-Nazis and the white supremacists to be there. He is supporting them, and he is holding cover for them, without a doubt, period. And he also, even when he said the neo-Nazis and white supremacists should be condemned, but he didn't condemn them. So saying something should be condemned while you're simultaneously defending their side... Nah. Okay, you're getting dog walked when you do that kind of shit, because that's bullshit.
Look, everybody should be very angry at how badly they've run this country.
Everybody should be very angry. We should all be very angry, guys, at having the best worldwide recovery from the pandemic, at having a record high stock market, at having a record high return of manufacturing jobs. You know, minimum wage has gone up in many, many areas around the country. Union participation has grown. We should be very angry about that, guys. We should be very, very, very angry. Way less chaos.
Millions of people are floating into our country.
Dude, the immigration's not a problem.
Should not be here. They're criminals, many criminals coming in, many terrorists coming in, people coming, they're emptying their jails into our country.
Again, dude, we need some fact checking.
They're emptying, think of it, they're emptying their mental institutions. People that are mentally ill are being dropped in.
Look at these people, dude. Look at these people. Look at these guys. Look at the dour looks on their face. Look at their faces. I mean, just look at their faces. What is going on? But the dour look on their face. They look like there's a scent of a smell of animal feces just wafting through their studio the whole time. Not a smile to be had, bro. There's no joy. They're here talking to their favorite president, right? That is and there's not an ounce of joy. There's no
into our country. And these two people, and it's both of them, they allow it to happen. What they're doing is terrible. I saw your report yesterday in Ohio.
Dude, I gotta say when she said, I'd like to remind Mr. Trump that he's not running against Joe Biden, like he's running against me. Was that epic or what, bro? Oh my God, dude.
Well, first of all, it's important to remind the former president you're not running against Joe Biden, you're running against me.
Oh my God.
I believe the reason that Donald Trump says that this war would be over within 24 hours is because he would just give it up. And that's not who we are as Americans. Let's understand.
In Ohio, with Springfield, Ohio, and Aurora, if you look at Colorado, Colorado, these thugs from Venezuela and Aurora have taken over. People from Haiti, I guess, have come in illegally, totally come in illegally into our country, and they've.
By the way, the people in Springfield, Ohio, the Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, are not illegal. They have never been illegal. What happened was Springfield, Ohio, got new manufacturing plants built there, and they had a whole bunch of jobs. But the population in Springfield, Ohio has been declining for years and years and years. Nobody wants to live there. The town was like dying from the inside out. And then a whole bunch of new manufacturing jobs ended up there. And there were some Haitian people that lived there that had a burgeoning little community. And over the course of a couple of years, a whole bunch of Haitian people have moved in there to take those jobs. Those Haitian immigrants that lived there saved that town. They came in and filled those jobs and brought it back, made it a manufacturing center again. None of them are illegal. They weren't swamped there. They weren't bussed there. They went of their own accord because the community needed support. And so they went there and rescued that town. And in return, they get called cannibals and made a spectacle of, which now Haitians all over America that actually skew Republican are like, maybe we need to not be voting for this Republican Party because they don't like us.
Do you think you made that point last night?
Ohio.
Do you think you made that? Do you think you made that point last night that you believe the border's directly affecting all these cities? And all these
no, he screamed about.
I think I made it twice or maybe
dogs.
Even 3 times. In fact, I said, I wonder if I'm saying this is too much. How can you say it too much? They've allowed 21 million, I think is the real number. It could be more than that. 21, that's bigger than New York State.
Dude.
They've allowed 21 million people come into our country. Many
off.
of these people are criminals. Right? And by the way, those countries are being emptied out of their criminals, and their crime rates are way down.
He is literally, it's just like fear porn.
United States, their population
is what it is, dude.
In prison are way down. Their mental institutions, their populations are way down. And it's all over the world. It's not just South America. They're coming in from all over the world, the Middle East, Europe, Asia. They're coming in from everywhere, not just South America. And they're coming in at numbers you've never seen.
Look at these guys, though, dude. Look at him, dude. What did he? I think he just nodded off, bro. Dude. We need who's got the Narcan, bro? Homie fucking took a fentanyl bump during that. When they panned off of him, dude, he did a quick fent bump, got the Narcan. Oh, he's like, oh, shit, I'm back.
I have no idea. Or maybe they do. The only reason they could be doing it is
I think this was like what Kamala Harris was talking about. Maybe it wasn't fentanyl. Maybe he's just at a Trump rally, dude, right? You're falling asleep because you're getting bored. Dude, he's been on the phone and the people on the TV show are like nodding off and shit. It's not even drugs. It's just Trumpism, bro. It's like Trump is fucking beat, bro.
Because they hate our country. Mm-hmm. They hate our.
See, I don't think the immigrants hate our country. You know what I'm saying? I don't think the immigrants hate our country. I think they love our country, man. And like, let them.
Donald Trump, the candidate,
all true,
has said in this election there will be a bloodbath.
He did indeed.
If this and the outcome of this election is not to his liking.
And the bloodbath, you were talking about the economy. It's a term that's used a lot when people are talking about a bad economy. What's your reaction to why didn't the moderators correct her?
because they're dishonest, and because I think ABC took a big hit last night. I mean, to be honest, they're a news organization.
Dude.
They have to be licensed to do it. They ought to take away their license for the way
Oh,
they...
you see that, though? Look at that. There's Trumpy. There's where he gets to the good stuff. They ought to lose their license. That's the world that Trump wants. Oh, you make me mad in a debate? I take away your broadcasting license. Huh. That's interesting. It's kind of familiar. Seems like maybe some of his respected buddies like Viktor Orban or Vladimir Putin or President Xi or Kim Jong-un, they might also like that kind of a world, right?
Bloodbath was referring to the economy. Everybody loved the term because it's...
Again, with the bloodbath, here's the deal. Donald Trump, after you instigated an insurrection, you lied about losing an election. You're still in denial about it. You lied about all the court cases you lost. You lied about Haitian immigrants. You spread conspiracy theories. You spread AI deepfakes of Taylor Swift pretending that she was supporting you. So you're lying, using violent rhetoric, instigating violence. You were shot at by one of your own supporters. You lied about that shooting and didn't share the medical records, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You've been nothing but deceitful and engaged in chaos and violence and subterfuge. So, yeah, you should never be using the term bloodbath, period. There's no way you're ever going to use the term bloodbath that we're not going to reflect that term on the rest of your behavior. And the fact, Donald Trump, that you don't understand that shows a fundamental lack of awareness of how you exist in this world. You are completely unaware of why everybody makes a big deal about using these terms. So you're either stupid and unaware, or you continue to use these terms and continue to use the language and rhetoric of violence and chaos, even though everyone's telling you, like, hey, man, that is looking like you want to overturn the Constitution, which you actually said you did. So, like, there's a problem here. Either stop using that fucking language, or as long as you use it, there's never going to be a fact check because it's always coming back on you being a violent rhetoric using manipulative, instigatory, anti-democracy, fascist person, or, right, clean up the behavior. You know what I'm saying? You have two choices. Either clean up the behavior or clean up the rhetoric. But you don't get to talk about the economy and use the term bloodbath when your entire basis of your rhetoric is around violence and control and, you know, sending in the National Guard and throwing protesters in jail and all that shit. Okay? If you didn't have all that other authoritarian worship and violent rhetoric, people wouldn't care if you said bloodbath. If Obama threw the word bloodbath, nobody would bat an eye because his entire shtick wasn't about violence and jailing people and retribution and fucking insurrection and denying the election results. People who deny election results don't get to talk about being a dictator on day one, or use the word bloodbath, or defend some of the people on the same side as the Nazis. No. If you deny elections and you inspire violence and your supporters are shooting at you and you call people names all day, you don't get to use any of that violent rhetoric in any fucking way, or you're going to be held accountable for it. And if you don't understand that, Donald Trump, you're either fucking stupid or you're just patently incompetent. But normal people that have a functioning fucking brain and the tiniest shred of self-awareness understand how that works. It's like, bro, dude, what the is wrong with you, dude? Quit acting like a goddamn moron, or just accept being treated like one.
The word is sort of a vicious word, but referring to the economy, they have created...
See, he did admit there, oh, it's sort of a vicious word.
Bloodbath. Everybody loved the term because as soon as they heard the word, it's sort of a vicious word. But referring to the economy, they have created...
See, that's why he uses it, though. He uses the vicious words. He uses the violent rhetoric. It's part of his thing. And then when he gets called out on it, he's like, how dare they? I didn't mean it to be violent. Oh, I didn't mean the insurrection to happen. I didn't mean the Proud Boys to beat up those parents. I just told them to stand back and stand by. I didn't tell them to actually hit those gay kids. He's a fucking bullshit artist,
in an economy,
bro.
bloodbath was the word.
Manipulator,
that I used,
abuser
and it was
101.
fine.
Oh my God, bro. Isn't that the truth, dude? He needs to have one of the very fine people moderating it. He even said no to a Fox interview with Brett Baer. He won't do it with Brett Baer. He won't do it with a journalist that requires truthfulness.